find something?
We made it finally to Park Guell, I think is how you say it. And this is a person, I think he, he commissioned Gaudi, and it was one of Gaudi's first projects. From the experience video we watched yesterday, that's what it seemed like happened. Gaudi was like getting a lot of no's, and then this guy commissioned him and they built this beautiful park. So it's probably another one of the biggest landmarks here in Barcelona. It was a bit of a mission for us personally to get here. The fact that like Uber is really rare challenges our travel style a little bit. But we finally made it and we're excited to explore it with you.
And what Allie means by challenges our travel style, she means it makes completely normal processes in 2022 unreliable. It makes normal processes in life unreliable, and you waste an hour and a half on metros and walking for 45 minutes and trying to catch a tram and trying to convince a taxi to go in the right direction so they don't have to increase your fare, try to rip you off. That's what she means by normal, or our lifestyle transportation choices.
Kind of touristy overview. It is just after opening time and it is already packed up here. Yesterday it looked even more insane, so make sure that you get here first thing. But look at this view. Probably one of the most beautiful views in all of Barcelona.
Pretty, this whole mosaic thing wraps around this whole little patio area up here. We're on top of like a little pavilion with a bunch of stuff underneath us.
It's really inspiring to think of people who have ideas outside of the box, and even if they get turned away initially, it becomes something beautiful that's really admired for some time. They had this plan to build an amazing estate, really kind of quirky and different. Well, unfortunately, they built one model house and nobody wanted to invest in the project at that time, which is crazy because now it's one of the most visited sites in all of Spain. And back then, nobody wanted to buy a house here. So Gaudi himself decided, well, I'm just going to live there. And he lived at the house at the very top with his family until he died, which is pretty interesting and inspirational. When the project failed as an estate, they decided to open it as a park, and apparently Güell was really influenced by the British parks, and that's why it's spelled with a K instead of a C, which would be traditionally how it was spelled for the Spanish. Sometimes people notice there's not really any straight lines here, and that was really because Gaudi wanted to imitate nature in all of his work. He felt that creation was the most beautiful art, apparently, and so he tried to recreate things and didn't really like to use straight lines and wanted to be really innovative. Interestingly, the house that we saw on top of the hill that Gaudi lived in, he didn't even design. That's the only house here. He did not design it. We're now in the monumental zone, which is designed by him, and you can tell by the mosaics and the lack of straight lines.
Park. What a beautiful place. Honestly, we both love mosaics and the artwork is just really inspiring. Gaudi was known as God's architect. He was very committed to his Catholic faith, and increasingly so as he got older. And I just found out one of the reasons La Sagrada Familia is not finished is because he said, we don't have to rush. You know, God is in no rush, so we can take our time. He was known to even let clients go waiting because he felt like he wanted to be kind of in tune with what he felt God's timing was for something, which is really interesting. A different way of operating. And so now we're about to go. We're going to explore a castle and get some great views of the city all the way from the other end. We're going to take a 20-minute taxi ride, and thanks for coming along with us. This trip has been so short in compared to like everything that we could see. Gaudi has a lot of very unique houses, which we'll put pictures up of, but you can go and spend weeks exploring all of his work in this city as well as everything else Barcelona has to offer. Welcome to Castle de Montjuic, I think is how you say it. I came here once before and it's really stunning, perched right on the edge of the water. You can see the whole city behind us, the sea to the front. It is a lovely, lovely place to explore. Thanks for coming along with us. Let's go check it out. So since we're on a time crunch, Jeremy and I decided to divide and conquer. So I have tickets for the castle, €5 each, and then tickets for the tram, the aerial tram on the way down, because I don't think we're gonna be able to get a taxi from up here, drop off only. So we're gonna get the aerial tram back halfway down the mountain, or we can either connect to the metro or get potentially a taxi, but I'm not sure about that. But it definitely said they could connect to the metro. So those are €10 each, or almost 15 round trip, but we're only getting one way. So that's our plan. I gotta make it back at 2 to start my work day. I work until from 2 to 11, so trying to squeeze in the last few things before we leave tomorrow. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh. I literally love Europe so much. Have I mentioned that lately? It's like, I just love it.
Any place that has a drawbridge, A in my bucket list. It's amazing to me, after all the travel we've done so far, how many places are redeeming in a way. Like this was used as a torture center for 3 centuries, and there was many wars, and many people were held prisoner here since like 1650, and wars after wars, and there's battlegrounds, and you see all the military equipment, and it was obviously used to defend the area for whoever conquered at the time. But here we are, like, enjoying this space. And so I'm always conflicted, but it's beautiful in one way, but the other side is the history. And I mean, this was probably a prison cell for people that, you know, I think the sign says they were held here prisoner for their ideals, and during a certain period, and then in prison cell and a torture cell for others. But here we are looking at, like, look at this pretty door, pretty view. It's amazing how life is so beautiful these days, and we truly can't, you know, we shouldn't take it for granted. There were times before us that were terrible, and we're living in the beautiful times, I think. northern Spain. We experienced a really fun time in Barcelona and got to eat some really fantastic food. It's kind of eclectic. I'm gonna use Allie's phrase here. It's like the Venice Beach of Europe. So there was some edgy retail and food storefronts to provoke some emotional responses. They were selling things that are controversial and provoking, which caught my eye. But the food was fantastic here. We had the paellas and they had lots of fish dishes. I got to try sardines from Spain. The mozzarella and the buffalo mozzarella and the different kinds of cheeses, fantastic. Gaudi built a beautiful theme for the city, and that's definitely something that you see and think about every day traveling around Barcelona. The views are fantastic. I love the grid feel of the cities. You know, you look down the streets and they're perfectly in line. So someone obviously with well-intention, many people organize the city in that fashion. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I wish there was more of that creative organization in other places. We just see the hodgepodge, like, you know, throw anything anywhere and who cares? But right here, there was so much intentionality. We're on top of Fort Castle, converted castle, Montjuic, looking back. I'm looking at the water, you're looking at Barcelona here. And the sights were fantastic. We did the castle, we did the park, we did the church. It was so much fun. My only downside in terms of cons of coming here, depending on the time of year, it could be costly. The transportation pretty much was underwhelming, I think. You know, maybe it's more commonplace in these kinds of, maybe it's more commonplace in Europe. I would think in 2020, whatever, you know, I would think in the 20th century, we would have more options to get around at our speed. And so it was unfortunate to feel like I wasted about 6.5 hours, you know, on other forms of transportation, given the accessibility of what we have available today. So, nevertheless, we had a fantastic time, or I did. And here's Allie.
I love Barcelona overall. There's so much to do here. We didn't get a chance to go to the cathedral and the Gothic Quarter. We didn't get a chance to do a lot of other activities. Last time I was here, I went on a helicopter ride and a boat ride on the water. I've loved being here, and we're excited to have you guys along for the next 6 months as we explore different parts of Europe. Thank you for coming with us. We hope you enjoyed Barcelona as much as we did, and the vibrant culture here, and the beautiful history, and the sometimes solemn history as well, as we stand here in a fort that got conquered so many times and was under siege so many times. We did book a place a little outside of the city, which at the time we felt like was a good option, but after being here, we would really recommend staying like in the Gothic Quarter, somewhere very local to the places that you want to go. The food is amazing. I could eat here for forever. There's so many restaurants, you know, in a lot of places we've been so far, there's like one restaurant that has Michelin stars, but here it's like you're spoiled for choice. We could have stayed here for a week and just gone to a different Michelin star restaurant every single night. Well, I guess we could come back, but we're excited to be off to our next stop on our tour of Spain, which is Madrid.
Por aquí, entra y a la derecha al final.
For 2 adults, 1 way, please. heading down the mountain. Get ready for some really awesome views.
Did you do this last time?
I did. The Teleferic de Montjuic. I just read that. Saves you probably a half hour of walking. Oh, we might be able to get a taxi over here.
Seems so.
So this is a huge park. You could spend all day here. There are botanical gardens. There's a palace on the other side. There are Olympic monuments and one of the Olympic stadiums. It's gorgeous. And
Coming in hot.